Hallo Leute, ich bin Yuri, ich komme aus Brasilien, ich wohne in São Paulo. Ich lerne Deutsch seit 3 Monaten, ich glaube, und ihr seht Deutsch für euch.
Hey guys, we're just gonna do a voiceover today because for some reason I just can't get around to recording my face lately and I just really want to put something out. So today I want to talk about something grammar related again, and that will be the differentiation between certain adverbs and conjunctions that are the same but mean different things and are also connected to conjunctions in English that are the same but can mean different things and therefore can get very confusing. So we're going to start off with als, which is kind of the centerpiece to all this. And we're going to start off with the first meaning, which is than. So this is a comparative usage of als and means I'm bigger than you. Ich bin größer als du. So that's how als is used in comparisons. The second way we can use als is as a time word, and then it means when in an isolated incident. For example, when the door opened, I got scared. Als die Tür aufging, erschreckte ich mich. So, again, this is the same word, but this time it's a time usage, and it means when, but not the periodic, the repetitive usage of when, but the isolated one. When this happened, this other thing happened. Then, connected to this through English, we have the other meaning of when, which means serial. So every time this happens, another thing happens. When I go to wash my laundry, I always take my basket. So this usage of when is translated into German with wenn. So time usage of wenn. You already see where this is going. There's another usage of wenn. So, wenn ich Wäsche waschen gehe, nehme ich meinen Korb mit. When I go to do my laundry, I take my basket. And then there's the second usage of wenn, which is conditional and means if. Now, this is not the only word we have for if. The other word is falls. The big question now is, when do we use wenn and when do we use falls? This is best explained using the different conditionals you have in English too, because you have conditionals 1, 2, and 3, and falls is only used for conditional 1. That means that, as is with conditional 1, falls can only be used for things that are both possible and also within the realm of reason. So things like if there's going to be rain tomorrow, I'm not going outside. So in German that would be, falls es morgen regnet, if it rains tomorrow, gehe ich nicht raus. You could also use wenn here. So, wenn es morgen regnet, gehe ich nicht raus. So for conditional 1 sentences, wenn and falls are both viable options. Falls can also be translated as in case, if that helps you. But for conditionals 2 and 3, so meaning things that are possible but highly unlikely, and things that are no longer possible or never possible, for those two cases of the conditional, we can never use falls in German. So, for example, if I had $1 million, blah, 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 we couldn't translate that using falls. Unless it's for some reason very likely that you could come into that sort of money in your case. So that would normally have to be translated with wenn ich $1 Million hätte. And just to give you an example for the third one that can't be used with falls, for example, if I had gone to school yesterday, blah, 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 that would also have to be done with wenn in German. Wenn ich gestern nicht zur Schule gegangen wäre. That's conjunctive, that's another episode, so just ignore that for now. What you need to know for now is falls and wenn are both viable for conditional 1, while for conditional 2 and 3, we can only use wenn. Okay, now let's jump to the other side of our chart and go into the other direction with what meanings can be connected to als. Your English-speaking brain might jump to the intuitive conclusion that als has to be somehow connected to as, which is not completely wrong, but can lead you on, very strange paths. So, as in English has two different meanings. One is connected to time, and one is connected to comparisons. Let's look at the time one first. As a time word means something like this is happening, and then this other thing is happening kind of at the same time. So, for example, as I turned around, the door opened. In the vast majority of cases, this will be translated using the word während in German. So, während ich mich umdrehte, öffnete sich die Tür. There are some contextual instances in which the time as can also be translated as als. However, this will most likely be in a situation where the kind of leniency you have with translation can also allow you to use the isolated when. So for example, with as I turned around the door opened, I could technically also say when I turned around the door opened. It's not exactly the same nuanced meaning, but if for some reason I as a translator into German decided I wanted to use als, here I could, because it doesn't completely distort the meaning. However, normally as implies that something is going on at the same time as something else, and for that we use während, which is while normally während, I just said while, didn't I? Which is why normally während means while. So both the time word and the comparison word. So while I turned around, the door opened, and I'm tall while you're not. Okay, so both time while and comparison while mean während. From that, let's go to the second meaning of as, which is the comparison as. So I'm as tall as you, which in German means wie. And this is kind of the centerpiece of this entire chart, because this is why I even am doing this, because the comparative as does not mean the comparative als. This is incredibly important because they actually mean the opposite. So the comparative als in German means than, as I've already established. So I'm taller than you, meaning this is for a comparison where there is a difference. While as the comparative as means wie. So I'm as tall as you, a comparison where two things are alike. This is really important, and it's actually something a lot of Germans can't wrap their heads around and use this wrong all the time, or even use a combination of als and wie together to cover their bases. Please don't do this. It's pretty easy, especially when you have the English system in mind. All you have to remember is that als in comparison is the exact opposite of as in comparisons. And then to wrap this up, we have two other meanings of wie. The first one is like. Again, this is comparison-wise, so he looked like my brother. Sah aus wie mein Bruder. It can't be used like, it's like the like California like sentence filler thing. You can't use it that way in German. We have another word for that, which I'm not going to discuss here because we already have enough words. But, the comparison like. And then the third one, is how. Both a question word, so how are you doing? Wie geht es dir? And the, when you use it in a sentence. Ich frage mich, wie das gemacht hat. I wonder how he did that. Okay? And with that wraps up this chart. If you want your own high quality copy of it, you can support me on Patreon, which is always linked in the description. Make sure to send me a note on there with an email address that you use for Dropbox so I can invite you to the folder with the scripts and the charts once your first pledge goes through. And with that, that's it for today. Your random word of the week is der Pfau, the peacock. Der Pfau, because I had a nice picture of one. Bis nächste Woche. Tschüss!